It actually blows my mind the amount of things that Epic Games can get away with and continue to do in the esports / video game scene. If you guys have somehow no clue what I'm talking about, the frantic updates for the past 6 to 12 months, the game-breaking updates, pushing out brand new metas right before big events, along with that late game performance issues, in-game bugs with every single update, because they've also on top of that overworked their employees. Reports out there we've talked about on this channel working their Fortnite team 70 to 100 hours every single week to push out these yet frantic updates. As of a few days ago, we had their terribly organized unvaulted event where over half the community arguably had no chance to actually vote or no say in the vote, which unvaulted one of the most controversial weapons and brought it back into the live game as of yesterday, that being the drum gun. And I think most importantly, which touched on last week, but so much happened with Epic Games and other esports out there, we kind of blew by this. They have now set a precedent for all future battle royales and potentially games out there, especially when it comes to breaking the rules in the forms of teaming. If you guys were not here, they set such an immense precedent and such a rule that was so crazy, and I didn't get the chance to talk about that. We're bringing it back up today, that being a 2-week ban for cheating in competitive Fortnite, which still blows my mind. Because if you guys were not here, it was Epic Games coming forward about the competitive scene. Of course, we're talking about Rise XXIF, or I should say former Rise member. They have since let him go as he was caught cheating during a World Cup qualifier, managed to qualify at the time for the World Cup. He has ever since, of course, forfeited his spot because he was caught teaming, and they've now established a rule. You know, I think the first part I do need to touch on, it was great they established a rule. It needed to be done. You know, Poach talked about this, other pros talked about this. They need to know when they are breaking the rules, so they did establish the exact rule of teaming. And by said rule, any players caught in collusion in any form of teaming, planned movement, communication internally or externally with each other from the game, item dumping, or anything of those sorts will receive a punishment for breaking the rules, for cheating competitively, will receive a punishment of 14 days. And yes, this does set precedents. If you guys have any examples of this from big esports out there who have had this kind of rule being broken or a certain extent of this rule being broken and have only punished them for 14 days or less, please let me know, because I cannot find any examples out there, which is unfortunate because of all the battle royales out there. Fortnite is certainly now the most by far and away established in terms of esports, and it's the only real esport that's established out there that has teaming as a possibility of a rule to be broken, right? You're not going to see teaming in CSGO or League of Legends, unless of course in very, very distant extents. You're not going to see it near as frequently when it comes to online qualifiers, open qualifiers, a battle royale like Fortnite, who have now established a rule that can so easily be broken, but at the same time they've established such a lenient, such a weak punishment for it. It's almost like Epic wants you to cheat. And even worse off, yes, they kick out XXIF, but it wasn't for the community. I think he still would have gone to the World Cup. If it's certainly not Epic at this point, if they're going to instill these rules, they're certainly not overviewing each and every player. It's nearly impossible. And it seems that what we've seen so far based off accusations, they only look into a case-by-case basis when so much drama and viewership is actually drawn around these Dubs FNs, these XXIFs, you know, other players as well who have been accused of several things out there. Epic will not even step in to check their own rules unless the community does the hard work for them, which we have seen time and time again. And that's why I have so much trouble with this rule being set, because there is literally no reason to have such a lenient punishment for cheating in a competitive event. If this were a game like CSGO, you would be given at least a couple-year ban, if not that, a permanent ban. But again, like I said before, it's so hard to compare to other esports because teaming is not the same as aim hacks or wall hacks, which are much more, of course, harsh punishments across other esports. So what do we compare this to? But even worse than that, there is no reason why it should only be 2 weeks, because when you kick out someone like XXIF, he can now come back 2 weeks and 1 day later and then compete in that weekend's qualifiers all over again, and he's only going to get punished if he gets caught, which Epic didn't catch him. You guys, the community, did. It is literally like Epic is it's like they're doing this on purpose. They want to piss people like me off, people like you off. They're going to keep on playing their game, and until people actually make a stand and kick back a little, are they really going to change things? I really do deeply think a rule like this, that it is broken and you're caught breaking that rule, it should be at least a month, at least 2 months. I'm not saying maybe a couple of years for teaming, but maybe if you're going to set a precedent, it needs to be a little bit longer, because when it comes to especially a Fortnite World Cup, the single biggest prize pool in esports history. You have 10 weeks leading up, giving millions of dollars out. At the actual event itself, $30 million being given out. The rest of the year as well, $1 million a week. This is the single largest prize pool for esports in gaming history, and you're going to set a 2-week ban, which does mean people of all over the world have now heard you say, hey, you can come to our World Cup qualifiers, online qualifiers, going to be incredibly hard to catch you. You can cheat. Even if we don't catch you, no punishment. Even if we do catch you, you're going to get a 2-week vacation for trying to make a $50,000 salary because, yes, if you grab a World Cup spot, it is worth trying to cheat for. Is it not? And I understand that I've been really hot-headed so far, but I'm just really curious what your guys' thoughts about this. I'm even more so curious what other developers out there think about this. What does Blizzard think? What does Valve think? What does so on and so forth think about this? Because when a big developer like Epic Games comes out there and hands out just a lenient slap on the wrist or slap on the hand for such a harsh crime in terms of cheating to try and qualify and compete against legitimate pro players and legitimate competitors out there, it's kind of a disgrace to the competitive scene for all esports, in my opinion. And finally, I will say, like I said before, it is a gray area, right? Teaming is not going to be a frequent occurrence. It's not going to be a frequent offense against other esports. But if you are cheating, if you are breaking the integrity rules, the competitive integrity rules out there, no matter what the esport, the punishment needs to be more than a 2-week suspension, a 2-week getaway from the game for trying to acquire a $50,000 spot. At this point, I really deeply feel they did this so they can encourage more players to try and compete in their World Cup competition, or if not, in future competitions as well, because as we know right now, this is going across all competitive Fortnite events. If you are caught teaming, you're banned for 2 weeks, you're ready, you're back up in time for the next Fortnite competitive event. What is to stop these players from ruining the competitive scene altogether because they're trying to earn a prize pool? And if they are caught, if they are somehow caught, such a lenient crime, they're going to be back and ready to do it again some other time soon. As always, I hope you guys all enjoy. My name is Jake. A heated debate to start off the morning. I'll be back here later on today throughout the day with some great esports news, some crazy stories out there we brought to you all day long. As always, I hope you guys all enjoy. I'll see you soon.